If I asked you, where are your roots? What would you tell me?
What if I told you that there's more to it? That there are benefits and resources from heaven that are available to help you in this life, and you've never heard about them? Are you curious? Well, join Gordon Merrill as he digs deeper into making heaven real in this life.
Welcome back to Making Heaven Real. If you were with us last week's episode, we talked about how your life has no coincidences. Heaven has no coincidences. In fact, your life has a very definite plan, and that plan you helped to create before you came here. So, what is your roots? If we look at Webster's dictionary, it says rooted basically talks about a state of being firmly established over time, synonymous with names like entrenched, embedded, fixed, established. So, rooted stands for something pretty strong, pretty significant, and pretty much somewhat of a foundation. You know, if you look at it from Bible standpoint, it says, I'm the vine and you're the branches. But even the vine has roots that keep it substantially embedded in the earth for life and sustenance and growth. Native American tribes have long looked at four cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west, not so much just for directions, but those four cardinal directions also have a very spiritual significance. To them, north has a mystery and a magic to it, but it also represents wisdom, truth, home, overcoming adversity, but primarily it's rooted in earth, stability, wisdom, and ancestors. Sound familiar? We've been talking over the last couple episodes about the stability of our spirit team, or our STC. Part of that spirit team includes ascended masters, which helps hold wisdom. And part of that spirit team also includes our ancestors, or ancestral spirits. So, stability, wisdom, ancestors. Sounds like stuff we've all been talking about. The big thing about that is ancestors are not just, like your immediate family, your mom and dad that may have passed, your grandparents, or even your great-grandparents. It goes back even further. Without getting into too much detail on it on this episode, which I don't have time for, I'll have to branch this out into another episode later on, but I happen to know in this particular case, in my particular case, I've been sent as a spirit to Earth numerous times, over a lot of years. So ancestors include anybody that was a part of any of those previous lifetimes, or as we've discussed with the spirit situation, all the people who had a part in helping this spirit learn what this spirit has to learn on its journey to Earth. Not too long ago, I was going through YouTube looking at certain things on certain topics and ran across a rather well-known medium who basically said that she believes that anybody has the ability to connect with their own loved ones. And when you feel something or you think of them for no apparent reason, it's probably them reminding you that they are with you. We all have the ability to connect with our departed loved ones. because that's our spirit team. That's our STC that's waiting to talk to us and help us. We definitely are going to grieve the loss of our loved ones, especially those especially close to us, like potentially a spouse. We're going to grieve them for the rest of our lives. But that doesn't mean it's going to take the rest of our lives to heal. I heard a preacher not too long ago on YouTube that said, being human's hard. I'm not sure if he knows as much as what we do as far as the spiritual side of things, but to a certain extent, he's right. Being human is hard. Because we were spirits who were in heaven who had continual contact with God and continual contact with unconditional love, and now, you see a whole lot of unconditional love in the world around you right now? A whole lot of what's going on in the world around us right now doesn't want to have anything to do with God either. How we approach that, how we handle that, how we make that a part of our life is critical to us and to the development of our spirit. You don't want to take everything and look at it as negative, but you also don't want to be unrealistic, because you have to learn and grow and mature while you're here. You don't want to have any negative attitudes come from that. You know, you have somebody runs into you and you have a car accident and you're like, oh my God, it's real easy to go, now how am I going to do this? And how am I going to do that? And this is going to be a problem. And I don't have time to take off of work to get my car fixed. And you can start down the rabbit trail of all kinds of negative thoughts and feelings. When if we approach everything on a day-to-day basis ourselves with the help and guidance of our spirit team and look at the positives, the first thing out of our mouth is, hey, I may have crunched the car, but we're all still here and we're all still alive and we're all still healthy. That approach to that same situation makes the world of difference in how you handle it. So like we talked last time, we have this plan. We have this group of things that we're supposed to learn while we're here that we signed off on. We have a spirit team that knows all about everything that we're supposed to learn while we're here, and they're there to help guide us and coach us. So what is the purpose that we are fulfilling in this lifetime? I also heard a preacher on YouTube, and I don't remember exactly who it was, so I really can't give full credit for it. But basically, the way I can remember it was something on the order of, I believe that inside each of us, we have the ability to search for a reason because we do have a purpose. I believe heaven wants to lead us to our best life and to fulfill our plan. That's a preacher. That's somebody who's not normally into the spirit counsel and understanding your life's plan or why you're here. But if he's in touch enough with heaven, that heaven's given him this information as well, that's just another source for us to kind of prove to us why we're here, what we're here to do, and that, yes, we do have this built-in innate desire to search for our reason for being here. But we also have the other side of the story. If you look at 2 Corinthians 5, it tells us that we need to live by what we don't see. For someone like me who's a FEMA-trained incident commander, it's kind of hard to go to a complete change from being in charge of a mission and wanting regular updates from all of the mission commanders and the mission ops personnel to know what's going on in order to make the appropriate decisions for the progress of the mission, and do a complete 180-degree about face and turn the other direction to go, okay, STC, today's up to you. I'm not going to plan. I'm not going to be concerned. I'm not going to get all upset and uptight if it seems like a deadline's approaching, because it's in your hands. It's in your control. We even talked in a previous episode about leaving your free will to the control and management of your STC. That being the case, you have now gone from not being so concerned about every detail or planning for obstacles you see 6 weeks down the road like we talked about in a previous episode, but now you're just not letting any of that be of a concern to you because you've left it to your spirit team to manage and guide you. No, it's not anything you can see. It's not a planned agenda in front of you. It's not a calendar that has got every block filled on every day, because you're leaving it to the team in heaven, which is that which you can't see. When we were talking last week about having a life's plan and things that you as a spirit need to understand to learn and grow and mature. Didn't get into a whole lot of details on that last week because we started to run out of time. So let me kind of expand that a little bit more. One of the things that we discussed as a example was a couple who would send their child to college, hopefully to learn and grow and mature. So let's expand on that example. Let's kind of make that example stretch to meet what we're trying to discuss here. If you take your child to school for the first time at a college, one of the things that's going to be the primary focus is, what do they want to do? Well, in our case, we're in the middle of it right now. The what do you want to do was already taken care of before we signed the life plan and before we were sent to Earth. But they declare a major. And then as a part of that major, there's this breakdown of, 20, 40 different classes that you need to take in order to become proficient and be given the nod from the dean to be presented to the president of the college that you have completed all the requirements required, and now you are being presented for graduation. Okay? So let's flip back to the spirit side of things. You're a spirit in heaven. And initially, before you start coming to earth, you are a spirit, as we said, that knows nothing but the complete total presence of God. The complete total presence of pure, unconditional love. And then it's time for you to go to earth to learn things that you can't learn in that pure environment. So if you're going to be a help on earth or in heaven later, helping people on earth, then you're going to have to be able to relate to people on earth, which if you've never been to earth, you can't relate. So you kind of goes back to the first episode with you don't know what you don't know. So you're coming to earth to learn and grow and mature, is helping you to know what you don't know so that you can use that to help those on earth. So your plan is set out for you. Here are all the things you need to learn. Okay? So that's basically your spiritual growth plan. Think of it as the, let's say, 40 courses that you have to take for your degree. So a part of that are these learning objectives that you have to become proficient in before you're allowed to graduate with your degree. As a part of that, those 40 classes that we said, and I'm using air quotes that you can't see, but just as a number for illustration, each class, however, has its own syllabus, which has its own learning objectives. Okay? So let's say, class number 1. You are sent to Earth for the syllabus for class number 1. The part of that that's interesting, however, is not only do you go to class to learn what's in that syllabus, but you had a part in creating that before you ever got here. So now, this particular lifetime that you're in is working on taking care of learning the objectives that are required in that syllabus for that class under the direction of your spirit team and the spirits and angels. It's kind of interesting I'm even using this description and this illustration because for a while there I taught at a college. And I was the chair of the IT department at a local college. So it was interesting to go through all of these motions and all of these different things that were required to teach these students. But I think the thing that's most encouraging looking at this is instead of going into a college class and sitting down and having a syllabus put out in front of you for the first time that you've never seen before and you're not sure what you're going to have in the end of that class, you're in a little different situation because even though for this life you may not know yet all of the things that you designed your spirit to learn in this class, but you did have a part in it before you got here. So yes, in my case, I've been to several classes, again, using air quotes, based on what I know now, and over the number of years that I've been on Earth. But apparently, there's still things left to learn, and still classes left to complete, or I wouldn't be here. Okay? Once you graduate, you get your degree, you don't come back to college for classes anymore because you've already graduated. Now, you might come back for alumni meetings and those kind of things, but you don't come back to go to class because you've graduated. Or in this case, you've transitioned back to heaven, whereas we learned in one of the previous episodes, the body stays on earth, the spirit goes back to heaven, to God who gave it. So if we're looking at this from the standpoint of a growing, learning, maturing process, much like a college curriculum, it makes it easier for us to understand that each time that we're on Earth, we're here as a part of learning that full curriculum. Now, when you go to college, you don't just walk in the door and say, I want this with no guidance or direction, and say, well, let me just pick 40 classes, whether it fits into a degree or not, and see what I end up when I'm done. You have a academic advisor, you have a financial advisor, all kinds of people that work within the college system to help you put this together. Sounds like a spirit team to me. So we're back to our ancestors. We're back to the wisdom. We're back to the stability that puts us in the right direction and guides us to the right classes rather than just 40 at random. We're back to looking at our STC that's guiding us through our education on Earth. One of the things I ran across not too long ago was there are sections in the Bible that deal with the term that's translated from the original language as abide or remain. The Greek word for that is meno, or M-E-N-O with an apostrophe. One of the main definitions of that is abide, as in a relationship abiding, to exist permanently in, inseparably united with. Sounds like rooted. Sounds like the same words and synonyms we discussed at the beginning when I asked you what you were rooted in. If we're abiding in the goals, the directions, the learning pattern designed for us before we came to Earth, then we're rooted in our heavenly program. What better way to look at life every day when you wake up than to understand that you're in the middle of this heavenly program that you had a part in designing, that your spirit council is helping you by directing you, guiding you, taking care of problems for you before they happen or they don't even happen that you know of, and making things happen on your behalf. Yes, being human is hard. If it wasn't, then you wouldn't learn anything while you were here. There wouldn't be a reason to send you as a spirit to Earth to learn things. There wasn't anything hard that's going to happen to you to learn from. But knowing that this is by design, there is no coincidence, like we talked last week, and your entire plan is rooted deeply, not only in the syllabus for this class, but in the requirements for your degree. There are a lot of things that we run into on a daily basis that are a part of our training program. There's a lot of things that we can make changes to as we're going through this life. But a lot of that, too, we have to be very careful because one single decision can change everything in front of you and have far-reaching effects. You know, we talked a while back about having a situation where God put me and a wonderful woman together, but it immediately changed and immediately quit as soon as one person turned and walked away. That free will decision brought that to an end. So even though we're here to learn, and even though we're a part of this class, and even though we have this syllabus that's trying to help us understand the objectives that we're learning through this life, we don't see that syllabus right now. We saw it before we came here, and our STC has it in front of them, and they're trying to help us stay on track with it. But if we're not tuned into our STC, if we're running in different directions, if we're not focused on where we're going, if we don't maintain that positive approach like we talked about with the accident, and we're going to the point where we make our own decisions, our own free will choices, the far-reaching effects may keep us away from our intended guidelines. The far-reaching effects of that free will decision may get us off track for what we're supposed to learn in this class. Now, even when you go into college, if you don't learn everything you're supposed to in that class, you may have to take that class again. I'm not saying you're going to have a secondary life that's going to be a complete repeat of the one that you had here, but some of the learning objectives may be carried forward into your next life. Because you have things that you have agreed to that you need to learn in order to grow and mature. But having all that in front of you and understanding what you're going through and the people who are here to help you, if you keep a positive attitude and you keep in tune with your spirit team, then being a human may not be quite so hard after all. When you think about this, the plan for this life, this class, and there again are the air quotes, is a part of your overall training program. It's all designed by you and your STC. When you think about all that, now you begin to have a better understanding of why there are no coincidences in your life. That car accident that we talked about, you think, oh my God, that was a bad coincidence. No. It was probably planned and there for a reason. One of the previous episodes, we talked about how I found out later that my wife got up and went with me to go get a prescription at CVS in the middle of the night, or not middle of the night, but late night, just because something told her to go. And I found out later if she hadn't, I'd have been in a car accident and killed. That's leading from this STC. Whether it's hers or mine, it's leading from the spirit team that's allowing you to understand that something needs to be done or things need to be changed. And if you're open to that leading, then you stay on track. So you have a better understanding of why there are no coincidences in this life. And now you have a better understanding of how truly rooted you are by the stability and wisdom of all your ancestors. So you can relax and take comfort that you exist permanently in, you are inseparably united to, and you're firmly established with heaven. That's how you're rooted. That is definitely making heaven real in your life.
We hope you learned something new about God's love and His resources during our time together. Please like and subscribe so you don't miss out. You can find our social media links and our contact info in the show notes. When you're commenting, please reference the episode number. Join us next time as we again search out the ways of making heaven real in this life with Gordon Merrill.